Look, most of you have absolutely no idea that the single most important survival vegetable you could possibly grow is something you've likely never, ever seen in a grocery store. Honestly, it's kind of baffling. Imagine a plant so biologically powerful that if society just collapsed tomorrow, it's the very first thing you'd want to put in the dirt. But somehow, this botanical masterpiece was practically erased from the global market. So today, we're diving into the grocery store ghost, the winged bean. We're going to figure out why this literal wonder crop of the tropics was tragically betrayed by its own origins, and why your current vegetable garden is, frankly, vastly underperforming. All right, let's get into it. So, I've got a quick question for you. If you could only grow one plant for the rest of your life, why on earth would you settle for these pathetic single-use plants? You know exactly what I'm talking about. You spend all this time growing an entire row of spinach just to eat the leaves, or a massive potato plant just for the tubers, and then you just toss the rest away? Why choose when you could have a total biological polymath? The winged bean is basically a plant with an identity crisis, but it works entirely in your favor. It literally gives you all three of those crops in one single vine. You eat the leaves just like spinach, the pods like a green bean, and the roots just like a hardy potato. It completely replaces 3 different garden beds with one sprawling, highly efficient vine. Let's just be real for a second and think about the sheer uselessness of standard, store-bought vegetables. They are incredibly wasteful. They're usually just high in carbohydrates, and you generally only get to eat one specific part of the plant. The stems, the roots, the vines, straight into the compost. But the winged bean? Oh, this isn't just a bean. It is a zero-waste survival kit, a total biological buffet. It's actually one of the only crops on the entire planet where literally every single part, the leaves, the pods, the seeds, and yes, even the roots, is edible. A 100% edible biological machine.
And this is where I get to geek out a little bit as a botanist, because the real biological secret of this plant is wild. Most standard crops you grow are, let's face it, basically just flimsy, waterlogged piles of carbs. But the winged bean is one of the most protein-packed plants in the world. Take a standard potato, right? Just a giant carb bomb. But the roots of the winged bean, they are remarkably high in protein. This plant acts way more like a meat or dairy energy bank than your standard garden vegetable. It provides this dense, sustaining nutrition that could practically keep an entire community alive without anyone ever needing to step foot in a grocery store again. It is an absolute masterclass in botanical efficiency.
Now, I'm definitely not the only one geeking out over this. Back in the 1970s, actual serious scientists were looking at this exact same data, and they were utterly blown away. I mean, the nutritional stats were so crazy they officially dubbed it the wonder crop of the tropics. They looked at a plant with such insane nutrient density that they genuinely, truly believed it had the potential to end world hunger. They thought they'd hit the jackpot, the holy grail of agriculture, a plant that could literally feed the world. This whole botanical marvel actually started out as a hidden cultural treasure in the Pacific Islands. For centuries, it was the secret weapon for these tropical regions. It provided a really consistent, super reliable source of vital nutrients in environments where other standard plants would just wilt and die on you. It was a cultural legacy perfectly adapted to its home, just thriving effortlessly in the extreme heat and that suffocating humidity of the deep tropics. But, as we're about to see, being that perfectly adapted to the tropics created a massive, tragic biological flaw. So here's the biological glitch in the matrix that kept this absolute masterpiece from taking over the globe. The winged bean was originally what we call a short-day plant. What that means is it has this biological quirk where it strictly requires a long period of uninterrupted darkness, like really long nights, just to trigger its flowering and pod production. Because of this, it was basically a prisoner to its own internal clock. If you tried to plant it in non-tropical climates, where summer days are long and nights are short, the vine would grow beautifully, but it would stubbornly refuse to flower or produce a single bean. It was completely trapped by its own genetics.
Which leads us to a seriously frustrating reality. I mean, eventually human ingenuity won out. Botanists finally figured out how to breed new, day-neutral varieties of the winged bean that could actually flower in different climates, but it was too late. The vastly inferior, significantly less versatile soybean had already completely conquered the global market. The entire global supply chain was already built right around it. We literally had a rivalry between a biological masterpiece with maximum utility and a simple, basic commercial bean. And the commercial bean won purely because of timing. It is so exasperating to think about that smug soybean dominating the market when it offers just a fraction of the utility.
But let's bring this back to you and why you really need to care right now. 100%. That is the percentage of this plant that acts as a total survivalist food supply. Listen, if society collapsed in the next 24 hours and the grocery stores emptied out, this is literally the only plant you would actually need. Because it provides proteins, fats, and minerals in every single part of its structure, it is the ultimate survivalist's companion. It completely ignores global supply chains. It doesn't care about market dominance. It just sits there, 100% edible, ready to give you complete, balanced nutrition from top to bottom.
So how do you fix that underperforming garden of yours? Well, here is a condescendingly simple guide to replacing those sad, single-use crops you've been wasting your time on. Step 1. Just give the vine a fence to climb. It wants to sprawl, let it sprawl. Step 2. Let the roots do the heavy lifting. Like a lot of legumes, the winged bean is basically a biological mechanic for your soil. It works underground to fix nitrogen. That means it literally heals the dirt while it grows its own food, pulling nitrogen right out of the air and locking it into the ground. It leaves your vegetable patch way better than it found it. And step 3, harvest a self-sustaining ecosystem. It's a pioneer species that builds your garden's health completely from scratch.
Think about it. We took a plant where you can consume every single part, a plant nature packed with more protein than almost any other vegetable on Earth. And then we just stood by and let it be outmarketed by the soybean. We are literally standing next to a biological treasure that was designed to save the world, to heal the soil, and to provide a zero-waste survival kit. Yet most of us are just now hearing about it for the very first time today. Humanity traded a true botanical masterpiece meant to feed the world for a basic commercial bean. So I have to ask you, if the ultimate survival vegetable has been hiding in plain sight this whole time, what other lost botanical masterpieces are we completely ignoring right in our own backyards? Now that's absolutely wild.